After our wedding, my billionaire husband made it a point to sleep with 99 starlets every year. At a banquet, Lucas accidentally broke a wine glass. Yet he demanded that I, 8 months pregnant, kneel and clean it up for the rising star. As the live stream camera focused on me, my water suddenly broke in front of millions of viewers. The rising star screamed and jumped back. "Quick, film under her skirt, it's so dirty." That night, I hemorrhaged in the nearby restroom and gave birth to a stillborn baby. Meanwhile, in the banquet hall, my husband was toasting and laughing with Vanessa. I wrapped the tiny, lifeless body of my stillborn baby in a linen cloth and handed it to Mom, my voice calm. "I've fulfilled your request and given birth to the Luke family's first male heir. Now, can I leave?" Mom cradled the stillborn, tears streaming down her face. "Sophia, is there really no turning back? Luke is blind and foolish, but he's not a bad person, can't you?" A phone live stream popped up. It was Luke kneeling to propose to the rising star, Vanessa. Amidst a sky full of fireworks, he sincerely kissed the hem of her dress. Vanessa, eyes filled with tears, accepted the enormous diamond ring, already changed into a custom-made gown. Who said President Luke was already secretly married? This is the proposal. From now on, we should call Vanessa Mrs. Luke. The online audience watching the live stream cheered. Vanessa, seeing the screen filled with Mrs. Luke, blushed shyly and hid behind Lucas. The comments in the live stream became increasingly bold. "We single dogs want to see President Luke and Mrs. kiss." Lucas acted as if I, his wife, didn't exist, hugging and making out with Vanessa in front of the screen. Mom saw the live stream, her voice catching in her throat. She thought I would be furious and lose control, and she tightly gripped my wrist. "Sophia, I agree. I shouldn't have forced Luke to marry you. Leave freely." But I wasn't angry. All my Vitali. Ty had been exhausted when I gave birth to the stillborn. "Shouldn't you wait until after the baby is buried before you?" Looking at the cold bundle in Mom's arms, a dull ache racked my heart. Once the child was laid to rest, Luke's sharpest words wouldn't wound me. After I agreed to Mom's request, she immediately called Lucas. "Mom, I knew you'd call me. My live proposal was just a rehearsal for Vanessa. Is Sophia making a scene again? Can't she stop already? Lucas, you must come back to the family estate in 3 days, or you'll regret it." In the background, a woman's moans could be heard. Lucas scoffed impatiently. "Are you going to drug me again at the family estate? Can Sophia's big belly handle it? I'm telling you to come back for your son's funeral. Sophia had a miscarriage." The other end went silent for a moment, then the moaning resumed. "Oh, it's okay. I'll let her cut in line and have another one." Mom was so angry she threw her phone. "Sophia, after attending the funeral in 3 days, leave." Lucas couldn't get through to Mom on the phone and actually came home for once. "I heard you had a miscarriage. How are you feeling? You're still young. I can give you another child after you recover." My fists clenched until my knuckles turned white. This was the first time in 5 years that he had voluntarily said he would give me a child. If it had been before, I would have happily accepted. But now, I didn't want it. I said coldly, "I don't need it. I don't want to have your child." Lucas was enraged by my refusal. "Sophia, I already agreed to give you a child. Isn't that enough? Who are you giving that face to?" He stormed over, pinning me to the sofa as he roughly tore at my blouse. "Didn't you dream of having a child? Come on, I'll give you one. You should be satisfied now." I pushed him away violently, slapped him, and told him to get out. "Lucas, I don't love you anymore, if I ever even did. I don't care about. A child, I don't care about. This Mrs. Luke position, I don't care about it either." Lucas sneered, don't care? Do you think I believe that? You think a kid will make me stay? Please, there are lines of women desperate to bear my heir. What are you pretending for? If you don't want to have one, there are plenty of people who do. To provoke me, he brought Vanessa home directly. The only difference between her and his other bed partners was that Vanessa was pregnant. I was drinking herbal medicine when Lucas came in and said, "Vanessa is pregnant, she'll be living with us from now on. You have experience, so take care of her." I laughed hollowly. Experience? The kind where your 8-month-old fetus bleeds out onto your dress? The experience of miscarrying at 8 months. Seeing that I didn't react, Lucas's handsome face darkened, and he told the housekeeper to arrange a room for Vanessa. Vanessa picked up my spoon with disgust and deliberately dropped it on the floor. Oops, sister's hands are so weak after the miscarriage that she can't even hold a spoon steady. Her body is too weak, it won't do if she can't get pregnant again. She wasn't the first person to humiliate me like this. The previous bed partners had all provoked me like this, and back then, I would have started hitting them directly. But now, no matter what she did, I felt nothing. Vanessa, ignored by me, felt like a clown. Seeing Lucas wretched, she grabbed the hand holding my bowl, shoved it twice, and slammed the bowl heavily on the floor. Then she screamed and fell to the ground. "Sister Sophia, I just wanted to try some of your herbal medicine. Are you trying to kill Luke's child in my stomach?" It was the same old pushing scene I was used to seeing. In the past, I would have burst into tears, frantically waving my hands at Lucas to explain that it wasn't me. But this time, my face was calm, and I decisively ladled another bowl of herbal medicine and poured it over her head. Since she wanted to eat, she could enjoy it. Vain. SSA, covered in dirt and mess, couldn't help but scream. Lucas immediately rushed over, snatched the bowl from my hand, and smashed it. "Sophia, are you jealous that someone else can have a child for me again? What kind of madness is this?" The broken shards of pottery cut my wrist, and blood gushed out. I was pushed hard onto the shards, while Lucas picked up Vanessa and reprimanded me sternly. "Apologize to Vanessa." The blood from the wound flowed down my arm to the floor. I was stunned. Apologize, huh? I was leaving anyway. Apologizing more or less didn't make a difference. I picked up a shard of pottery from the ground and stabbed it straight into the wound, staring at Lucas as I slowly widened the cut. Lucas hated my seemingly obedient yet unyielding appearance and sneered. "Putting on an act in front of me, trying to make me feel sorry for you? Sophia, you're overdoing it. Isn't cutting just your right hand enough? Want to do a few cuts on your left hand too?" I smiled mockingly and said, "Okay." Then I rolled up my sleeve to reveal my left prosthetic arm. Vanessa screamed instantly, and Lucas frowned suddenly, his pupils trembling. "How is your left arm a prosthetic?" My left arm was crushed by a car 5 years ago while saving Lucas. At that time, he was panicked and helpless, searching for the world's top medical teams to fit me with this prosthetic that looked very much like a real hand. But on the night he was forced to marry me, he looked at my sleeveless dress revealing the prosthetic arm with disgust. "Using your amputated arm to disgust me every day, isn't that just trying to cash in on my gratitude? Now that you're Mrs. Luke, don't let me see that hunk of metal again." After that day, I always wore loose-fitting long sleeves whenever I saw Lucas. I didn't expect that after so long, he would directly forget that I had lost an arm. I thought that seeing the prosthetic, he would feel some guilt. But he chuckled. "Sophia, you finally couldn't help but be. Wring out your broken prosthetic to blackmail me? Want me to feel guilty and treat you better? Fine, you've succeeded." Looking at Lucas's mocking lips, I also smiled. Yes, I was about to succeed. There were only 3 days left until I could leave. Wasn't that a kind of success? Lucas took Vanessa to the hospital for a checkup. I went straight back to my room to pack my things. After packing, I suddenly realized that there wasn't a single thing that carried a shared memory of Lucas and me. I opened the knitting basket and took out the embroidered baby shoes that I had personally knitted for the baby. At least he had personally given me the yarn. That was something. There was nothing else. No love, no wedding. The wedding photos were photoshopped, and the child only existed after being drugged. 5 years of devastation. It was better not to continue. What adorable embroidered baby shoes. Vanessa suddenly appeared from behind me and snatched the embroidered baby shoes from my hand. Lucas stood there, glancing at me casually. Worthless little things, she prepared them for the child. His expression and tone were the same as when people asked who I was these past 5 years. Lucas glanced at me indifferently, as if looking at trash. Sent by the family estate, waiting to have a child for me. In the past, faced with Lucas's disdain, I would only squat in the corner and cry silently, then continue to wait, hoping that he would one day have a change of heart and love me again. But now I was fed up. Lucas continued, "If you like them, you can leave them for our baby to wear later." As soon as Vanessa heard that it was something belonging to my dead child, she suddenly threw the shoes away and covered her stomach. "Luke, my stomach hurts. Things from a stillborn are too ominous. We can't keep things like this in the house." The next second, his gaze towards the embroidered baby shoes turned venomous. "Find someone to bashes them." I tried desperately to stop him. It w. As useless. In the end, I watched helplessly as Lucas threw the embroidered baby shoes into the fire. In an instant, the motherly love knitted stitch by stitch was burned to ashes. It was just a pair of shoes, but in the end, I couldn't keep them. In the afternoon, I immediately went to City Hall and used the express lane to get a passport. When I came back, Lucas saw the passport in my hand and questioned, "What are you doing getting a passport?" I was startled by him, and after realizing it, I replied, "Taking Mom out for a change of scenery." He looked at me in surprise, then couldn't help but sneer. "The child's funeral is in 2 days, and you're going out for a change of scenery? Sophia, you have no heart." I didn't deny it. I was just a heartless fool. Even if I had a heart, had feelings, and burned myself to love you, would you, Lucas, care? That night, Lucas came to my room and threw a black card at me as compensation. He said that his words that afternoon were too harsh, and that I must have been sad about losing the child too, and that he shouldn't have stabbed me in the heart. Then he immediately pounced on me. "Come on, Sophia, I'll let you cut in line. Vanessa is pregnant now and can't have sex, so I'll fulfill your wish to have a child." I felt disgusted and wanted to vomit. I slapped him in the face. "Don't touch me," I said. "I don't want to have a child for you. Get out." Lucas was stunned for a moment, staring at me intently, trying to see through my disguise. I also stared back, coldly spitting out a word. "Get out!" Lucas laughed, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, but his actions became even more violent. "What's wrong? Haven't been touched by me in too long and grown thorns? Other women sleep with me for free, and now I'm buying you for a night with a black card, and you still think it's too little? Sophia, you're really expensive." He grabbed my hands and pinned them to the head of the bed, his other hand eagerly unfastening my br. Ugh. "Lucas, you're too cheap. I think you're dirty, and the children you produce will also be dirty." Seeing me struggle violently, Lucas forcefully turned my chin. "Sophia, I've given you 2 chances. You didn't cherish them yourself. I'm telling you." He gritted his teeth and said, word by word, "There are plenty of women out there. 100, 1,000, 10,000. Lining up waiting to sleep with me, waiting to have my child, waiting to be the young madam of the Luke family. Sophia, don't regret it. Don't come crying and begging me to sleep with you." Someone like you was never meant to be a mother. He slammed my arm against the headboard and left, slamming the door behind him. Watching his back, I wiped the corner of my mouth, which he had bitten, hard. Lucas! I won't regret it. I only hope you don't regret it. I stood up and packed my luggage one by one into the suitcase. There were 2 days left. Lucas, I'll be free. Finally, on the 3rd day, only a few members of the Luke family attended the funeral. In front of the tombstone, I personally placed a bunch of mourning flowers. As a result, Lucas, who hadn't appeared the entire time, walked into the hall at the end of the funeral, supporting Vanessa. Vanessa dismissed Lucas, leaving only the 2 of us in the mourning hall. I knew she was going to cause trouble again. But after guarding for the last 3 hours, I would be leaving, so there was no need to pay attention to her. She took it a step further and leaned close to my ear, saying with a smile, "Sister, you're finally going to be famous." Then she swallowed a handful of pills, slapped herself hard, and pretended to fall. The blood stains on her white dress gradually spread, and blood flowed all over the floor below her waist. The doors of the mourning hall were instantly broken down by a group of reporters, and cameras were pointed at me for a live broadcast across the entire internet. Why? Sophia! Why did you hurt my child? How can you, mistress, be so confident? Even if you like my husband, you can't force me to take abortion pills. Please don't hurt my child, Vanessa screamed miserably, and the reporters swarmed over and surrounded me. Miss Sophia, is it because you were rejected by President Luke and turned love into hate? Miss Sophia, as a mistress, you forced the legitimate wife to die with her child. Aren't you afraid of going to jail? They were all bought off by her. I didn't understand why she would give up her child just to slander me online. Until I was tied up by Lucas and forced to kneel in front of Vanessa's hospital bed. Sophia, you are so vicious that you are not even human. Your child is gone, so you forced Vanessa to take abortion pills, and now she has lost her child too. She is a celebrity, and you have ruined her life. Vanessa is so kind, but I am not. Now you will kneel in front of the camera and bow 100 times to apologize to Vanessa. Apologize, again with the apologies. I knelt on the ground and laughed wildly. What does she want me to explain? Vanessa on the hospital bed was pale and weak, barely alive. Sister, I just want a sincere apology from you. Isn't the lady of the Luke family, the Luke family's first male heir, not worthy of your repentance? Seeing that I was about to refute something, Lucas grabbed my chin and warned in a low voice. Sophia, you better think carefully before you speak, or you won't be able to leave this door today. As long as I bow 100 times, I can leave, right? I asked calmly. Yes, only if Vanessa forgives you can you leave. Getting the answer, I forcefully pried open his hand, my eyes mocking. Don't touch me. I'm going to kneel in apology for my sins. Now. Right and wrong didn't matter anymore. Once I finished bowing 100 times, I could leave. Kneeling in front of the camera, I heavily prostrated. I'm sorry, Mrs. Luke, I loved President Luke too much, so I debased myself to be a mistress, using all sorts of cons. Piracies and tricks to break you up. But you and Lucas are true love and true couple. A mistress can never break you up. Another kowtow. I'm sorry, Mrs. Luke, I am narrow-minded, and when I failed to seduce President Luke, I retaliated against you. It was me who forced you to take abortion pills at the funeral, causing the Luke family's first male heir to die innocently. I am a murderer. My sins are unforgivable. One kowtow after another, blood rubbed against the floor. Seeing my embarrassed and lowly appearance, Vanessa was in a great mood. But Lucas really didn't expect that I could self-deprecate and self-harm to this extent. Enough! Stop kowtowing. Seeing the blood all over my face, he couldn't help but frown. Sophia, Are you trying to kowtow yourself to death so that I will repent for you? He wanted to pull me up, but I struggled desperately and continued to kowtow. The sound of kowtowing became heavier and heavier, and the number had already passed half. Vanessa was afraid that Lucas would soften towards me, so she asked to move to another ward. Lucas picked her up, turned around, and looked at me coldly before leaving. If you really want to atone for your sins, then continue to kowtow until Vanessa forgives you. Lucas had the bodyguards watch me kowtow the whole way. Vanessa nestled in his arms, smiling provocatively at me, and under the surveillance of the bodyguards, I could only continue to kowtow the remaining 38 times. Almost there, it would be over soon. 98, 99, 100. I knelt and prostrated in the pool of blood, remaining motionless for a long time. From then on, I had nothing to do with the Luke family. Lucas took Vanessa to the private suite. Looking at Vanessa's sickly little face, his mind was filled with the image of me kneeling in front of the camera, kowtowing resolutely. I debased myself into the dust and the sound of impacts. It seemed like I would be scattered by the wind. A burst of panic filled Lucas's heart. For no reason, he hurriedly walked out of the ward, only to be met by a bodyguard. President Luke, something bad has happened. Miss Sophia is dead. What did you say? Miss Sophia, she prostrated herself to death. The bodyguard repeated again. Tisk! Lucas waved the bodyguard away as if he had heard a joke. I've never heard of anyone kowtowing themselves to death. It must be Sophia trying to scare me, deliberately making up an excuse. All right, I'll go over and take a look at her. Seeing that Lucas didn't take what he said seriously at all, the bodyguard had no choice but to remain silent. When he arrived at the ward, Lucas only saw the scene of me under a white cloth being pushed into the morgue by a nurse. The string in his head snapped instantly. He rushed into the morgue like a madman, not allowing anyone to touch my body. He repeatedly shouted that even if the whole world died, I couldn't die. The nurse had no choice but to call my first contact. Mom arrived at the hospital and slapped him awake, making him face reality. Why can't she die? When she was alive, you tormented her. Can't she choose to die to free herself? Lucas, I will be fully responsible for Sophia's funeral. You have no right to see her one last time. Lucas returned to the ward and saw the bloodstains left by my kowtowing. He suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood. His once tall figure suddenly curled up on the ground, crying with his head in his hands. Sophia, I was wrong. Sophia, please, come back to life. I'll kowtow to you 100, 1,000, 10,000 times. Please come back to life. I really know I was wrong. The bodyguards couldn't drag him off the ground, and Mom was also disappointed and helpless. But the reporters swarmed up, taking pictures of the collapsing and crying Lucas. President Luke, isn't Sophia a mistress? Why are you crying for a mistress? President Luke, the child of Mrs. Luke is gone. Are you going to sue Miss Sophia? Mentioning that I was a mistress again, Lucas instead woke up. He grabbed a reporter and punched him, then roared at everyone. Sophia is not a mistress. She is my legal wife. She is Mrs. Luke. My wife can only be her in this lifetime. The brain cells of the entire internet were blown up by Lucas's words. Netizens frantically spammed the screen, and the live broadcast directly crashed. That night, the top trending searches exploded. The entries were all about the secrets of the wealthy between me, Lucas, and Vanessa. Hashtag Lucas and Sophia have been secretly married for 5 years. The mistress is the real wife of the wealthy family. Hashtag the real wife had a miscarriage the next day. The mistress became pregnant, entering the house and usurping her identity. Hashtag Vanessa, the mistress, caused trouble at the real heir's funeral, falsely claiming pregnancy to frame the real wife. The whole world knew the truth that I was Mrs. Luke. But what good was it? when the bodyguard rushed into the room and showed him the news. Lucas was dead drunk, recalling our first meeting. I grew up in an orphanage under the Luke family. Every child in the orphanage was specifically trained as a servant for the Luke family. I was good at fighting, and 6 years ago, I was transferred to work by Lucas's side. In a kidnapping, I lost my arm to save him, and we fell in love while hiding from the kidnappers in the mountains. After miraculously surviving, Mom was extremely grateful and promised to let Lucas marry me. But the day before the wedding, someone framed me for colluding with the kidnappers in order to plot the Luke family's property. Lucas actually believed it without thinking. The next day, he canceled the wedding, dismissed the guests, and even tore up our marriage certificate, resisting what he saw as a conspiracy. But under Mom's strong pressure, Lucas was still forced to marry me. He rushed to me like a victim, saying the most bitter and sarcastic words. "Sophia, is it hard to love me while enduring the disgust, wanting to give birth to the Luke family's first male heir and then divide the property and fly away? You're really capable. Then you kneel and beg me to sleep with you, beg me to give you a child, otherwise, even if you hold the empty shell of Mrs. Luke, you'll have to be a widow for the rest of your life." The beautiful marriage of my dreams became the grave where I was buried. I wanted a divorce, but Mom didn't agree. She said that the Luke family was surrounded by wolves, and I had to give birth to the Luke family's first male heir as soon as possible before I could leave. I agreed, so I tried everything to sleep with Lucas. This dissolute posture made him hate me even more, and he didn't even come home. So Mom drugged Lucas, and I took the opportunity to sleep with him a few more times, and that's how I got pregnant. In the 3rd month of pregnancy, I dared to give the pregnancy test report to Lucas. As a result, the next second, he grabbed my neck and force-fed me abortion pills. That look was sinister, like looking at an enemy. "Sophia," I said, "only when I want to give you a child can you get pregnant, otherwise you don't even think about giving birth to my seed in this lifetime." It was Mom who brought people to wash my stomach in time and gave him 50 lashes, which barely saved the child. Thinking of the child, Lucas felt another pain in his heart. "The child Sophia gave birth to must be very cute," he murmured to himself. But the child was dead. He had strangled it with his own hands. Mom told Lucas that I gave birth alone in the bathroom of the banquet hall. While I was personally delivering the corpse of the child, he was still reveling with Vanessa. Sophia must have been in so much pain when she gave birth, but I was still pitying another woman. I deserved to die. I'm not human. I should have been with Sophia. It's too cold on the road to the underworld. I'll die with her. President Luke, Vanessa is not pregnant at all. Her miscarriage age and permanent infertility are all fake. She bought off reporters and online trolls to slander Mrs. Luke, in order to wear down Mrs. Luke, so that you can confirm her identity and marry her. After seeing the evidence of Vanessa buying off doctors to fake her pregnancy and buying off reporters and online trolls to spread rumors about me in the news, Lucas directly tied Vanessa up, like he tied me up before. He made her kneel in front of the live camera to kowtow and admit her sins. Vanessa truly prostrated herself to death. Even if she prostrated 100 times, Lucas wouldn't let her up. Her forehead was rotted, and brain matter flowed all over the floor, and the hospital's rescue was ineffective. Vanessa's death was hidden by the Luke family, and no one cared. And Lucas was not allowed to attend my funeral because of Mom's strong opposition. So on the same day as my funeral, he announced to the whole internet that he would hold a belated wedding with me. The whole internet sighed with regret. The wedding and funeral were held on the same day. No one could do such a crazy thing except Lucas. He held my remaining photographs, and at the wedding, he admitted that I was his legal wife, saying that he had cheated countless times during the marriage, and Vanessa was just one of them. The child was aborted by him, and he had forced me to kowtow and apologize before in order to vent his anger for Vanessa. In an instant, the whole internet wept through him, and the stock price of Luke Group plummeted. Someone anonymously sent him a photo of an orphanage activity. The side of the woman's face in the lower right corner of the photo was exactly the same as mine. Lucas's heart beat violently, and he posted a missing person notice to the whole internet. A reward of 1 million for a piece of my news. His eyes were, "Sophia, you won't die. I will always find you." Under Lucas's instigation, the whole world was looking for me. Mom panicked and immediately transferred me out of that orphanage. Lucas's intuition was right. I was not dead. It was Mom who told the hospital to announce my death to the public, and the corpse that Lucas saw was deliberately shown to him by Mom, in order to make him witness the fact that I was already dead, so as to reduce the risk of being found by him. But Mom underestimated his obsession to find me. So she hurriedly sent me to Iceland. She left me enough cash to live on. She told me, "The past is the past, the present is a new beginning." Someone will always be able to handle him on Lucas's side. The internet was dominated by large-scale missing person notices, and the Luke group was summoned by the state, which Mom represented. The next day, all information about me on the internet was cleared. Mom dragged Lucas to my tombstone and directly stuffed my ashes into his hand. "The person is really dead. You didn't know how to cherish her when she was alive, and you still don't let Sophia rest in peace after she died. You're truly sinful." Holding Sophia's ashes, "Go wherever you want." Ed by 15. Johnson recognized my phone. It had a picture of us from college. Johnson grabbed the person's hand. "Where did you get this phone?" The person was a nurse's aide. She had taken it from my bag. Seeing Johnson's white coat, the aide didn't dare lie. "I got it from a dead man." Johnson's heart leaped, and she gripped the aide's hand tightly. "Where's his body?" The aide's wrist throbbed. "It was cremated a long time ago. Who knows where his ashes are?" Hearing the word cremated, Johnson collapsed to the ground. The aide quickly dropped the phone, terrified. "It wasn't me. Don't look at me." "No one claimed the body, we just followed procedure." "Here, take the phone. Just leave me alone." With that, she ran away without looking back. Johnson stared at the phone. In the photo, I was Smee Johnson at her. Johnson dug her fingernails into the ground, drawing blood. "Ethan, what am I going to do? I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please forgive me. Come back to me, please." I was Johnsoned by greed. "I just wanted your whole family to accept you after you donated your heart to your brother. That way, you would finally get what you wanted, a family." Johnson didn't know that after I met her and was saved by her, I no longer obsessed over family. She didn't know that I had lost the will to live, that I stopped fighting on the operating table, not because of the anesthetic, but because she, the one who had pulled me from the abyss, had pushed me back in. Until my death, I didn't understand why everything I had was always taken by my brother, my parents, my lover. Maybe I shouldn't have lived in this world. Johnson took my phone back to David Smith's room. She had something to ask David Smith. 16. David Smith, since waking up, had noticed his parents looked troubled. They saw him wake up but didn't rush to his side, instead sitting to the side and sighing. Even Johnson's mother was silent. David Smith wondered if I had suddenly appeared and said something to them. That didn't make sense. If I had appeared, his parents would have forced me to apologize to David Smith. After all, I had disappeared for so long and hadn't come to see him. Besides, Aunt Carol and Uncle George were standing outside the room. They wouldn't leave until they got money. Just as David Smith was wondering, Johnson walked in. David Smith immediately noticed the phone in Johnson's hand. He quickly thought of a way to respond. David Smith clutched his chest, his eyes red, and said to Johnson, "Is Ethan still angry with me? Is that why he won't come see me? I knew it. I hurt Ethan. But I couldn't help it. I have a heart condition. I wouldn't have asked him to donate his heart if it wasn't to save my life. David Smith was pale and breathless, but no one in the room comforted him. David Smith felt something was wrong. Usually, everyone would comfort him and scold me for being ungrateful. My parents glanced at David Smith but didn't say anything. Johnson asked David Smith with a cold face, "Were you really so sick that you needed someone to donate their heart to save you?" David Smith was startled by her words, but he quickly regained his composure. "Of course, you've seen my lab report. Would I fake something like that? I'm not like my brother. I wouldn't bribe people or lie to anyone. Did Ethan tell you something?" David Smith didn't know why Johnson was suddenly asking these questions, but in front of his parents, he had to stick to his story. Johnson walked up to David Smith and held up the phone. "Did you do this?" David Smith looked at the phone Johnson was holding. It was full of chat logs between me and David Smith. They showed him bragging about his parents' love and faking his illness to beg Johnson to convince me to donate my heart. "You think that if you come home, Mom and Dad will love you? Don't dream. You look poor, and even if you clean up, you still stink. Just spend the rest of your miserable life in the countryside with Aunt Carol and Uncle George. You think you deserve to marry Johnson? Mom and Dad already said that after I recover, they'll let me marry Johnson. See? You're just trash in this family. You think I can't make Johnson force you to donate your heart? I told you, you can't compete with me. You don't have parents or a lover, so why are you still alive? If I were you, I'd just agree to the surgery and die on the operating table." The chat logs were full of insults and attacks. Johnson couldn't imagine what I was thinking when I saw these words. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she gripped the phone tightly. "Tell me, did you do this?" David Smith frantically clutched his hospital gown. "No, Ethan did this to frame me. He's just unwilling Johnson to donate his heart to me, so he's putting on this act. Johnson, don't be fooled. He's definitely watching from the shadows, trying to make you suspect me. He's so evil. I only asked for his heart. He's alive and well, making up all this fake stuff to deceive you." David Smith cried and shouted. My mom couldn't listen anymore. She walked up to David Smith and slapped him hard across the face. David Smith didn't expect Mom to hit him. "You hit me for him? What's so good about him? He's just a bastard, a worthless nobody." David Smith's insults were vile. Johnson couldn't take it anymore and grabbed David Smith's neck, squeezing tightly. "What do you think you are? 18. Did you really think I liked you enough to let Ethan donate his heart to you? If it wasn't for Ethan's heart, do you think I would have gotten close to you?" The first time Johnson met David Smith, she had a strange Johnson. She didn't know how to describe it. But when she saw David Smith, she felt a sense of being tamed. Johnson used to think she must have owed David Smith something in a past life that she needed to repay in this life. But now Johnson finally understood that it was because of me. Because of my heart inside her. David Smith had just had surgery and was weak. He grabbed Johnson's hands with both of his, struck Johnson. My dad held my mom, and they embraced, weeping. "This is a disaster. How could this happen to our family?" Seeing that Johnson was about to strangle David Smith, David Smith's mother stepped in to stop her. David Smith escaped from Johnson's grasp and lay down, coughing incessantly. After catching his breath, he begged his parents for help. "Mom, Dad, it's all Ethan's trickery. He did everything. Quick, go find him, and everything will be clear." David Smith didn't notice his parents' expressions. He was still blaming me. His parents didn't do anything, just cried. Johnson felt like she couldn't take it anymore. She couldn't bear the thought of my heart being inside such a vile man. Johnson grabbed the scissors from the bedside table. In everyone's sight, she forcefully plunged them into David Smith's heart. David Smith was only focused on complaining to his parents and didn't notice Johnson's actions. Johnson put all her strength into it, burying the entire scissor head. The room was filled with screams and cries for help. Johnson watched David Smith fall onto the bed, blood staining the sheets red. She stumbled backward until she hit the wall, slowly sliding down. "Ethan, your heart, I'm returning it to you. Please come back. I beg you. I can't live without you." But the only response she received was the chaos of screams and cries in the room. Other doctors from the department rushed in and gasped when they saw the scene. 19. Johnson was arrested for aggravated assault. After hours of emergency treatment, David Smith ultimately succumbed to his injuries and died. My parents lost both of their children in a short period of time, and their hair turned completely white overnight. On her way to visit Johnson, David Smith's mother received something from my parents. They couldn't face Johnson right now, but they knew that Johnson wasn't the cause of all this. It was their years of neglect toward me. So, my parents couldn't forgive themselves even more. They would live in pain and guilt for the rest of their lives. Johnson looked at David Smith's mother across from her. She looked 10 years older. David Smith's mother took something out of her bag and handed it to Johnson. Johnson's eyes, which had been as still as death, immediately lit up. It was a friendship bracelet. It was a gift from the campus-wide speed dating event during freshman year. I had hidden Johnson's name inside. It turned out I had recognized Johnson from the first time we met. Unfortunately, Johnson didn't know. At that time, she only knew that she instinctively wanted to be close to me. She felt that I was very kind. She couldn't understand how I felt about her. I knew that my heart was inside her, but I never said anything. Johnson suddenly remembered me once placing my hand over her heart. I whispered to her, "It's so good. If it's you, it's just too good." At that time, Johnson didn't understand, but now she finally understood. But it was all too late. Johnson, in her 20s, cried like a child. She kept banging on the table, roaring and begging me to come back. In the empty room, only Johnson's crying remained. David Smith's mother looked helplessly at Johnson in front of her. She knew the whole story, but she had hidden everything. When I first met David Smith's mother, we recognized each other. But David Smith's mother begged me not to mention it again. I agreed. But in the end, Johnson still found out. That night, news came from the prison that Johnson had died. According to the medical examiner, it was suicide. It seemed that Johnson had planned it before she went in. David Smith's mother cleaned up Johnson's body. In her belongings, they found the friendship bracelet. On it was written, "May we be of one heart, never to be apart." Was extremely happy. The second half of my life, free from the shackles of supporting them in their old age, was truly delightful. The end.